and welcome to another episode of Wealthapp Holiday Adda, where we bring to you the stories of those who dared to dream. Today on our show, we have with us a very special guest, Mrs. Malavika Banerjee. Ms. Banerjee, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you here today with us.
Thank you for having me here.
So I must tell all of our viewers this. Ms. Banerjee is an inseparable part of a company called Game Plan, which has been doing wonders for quite some time now. So if you could please state how Game Plan came into being and the journey that it has had through the years.
So Game Plan was started by Jeet, my husband, and me in 1998 November. It was initially started as, his work was in an advertising agency and his ability to get sponsorship for an article. And I was a journalist, so my ability to, interview and frame an article on that. So this was a very baby step that we took in November 98, which is now 26 years and more ago. And then slowly, it's also about being at the right place at the right time. Some people may say that's great luck or timing, but I think it's also that we identified an opportunity, and whenever the opportunity kind of modified itself. So we got into sports marketing as a content creator, but then we saw there was in Stadia technology changes. So then we got into 3D signs. Then we saw that player representation was becoming, a thing. So at that point we managed players like international names like Steve Waugh, and then later on we managed MS Dhoni for the initial 3 years of his absolutely amazing career. So that's the story of Game Plan. It started from 1998 to 2010. I only worked on sport.
Amazing. So ma'am, I cannot continue this interview without talking about a very important event that links Wealthapp and Game Plan, that is Kolkata Literary Meet. So like you said, Game Plan was a sports management and a sports advertising company. How did Kolkata Literary Meet come into the picture? How did it start?
So as I said, between 98 and 2010, I was working entirely with sport. And it was, even now, I am deeply invested in sport. I watch it more than any OTT or anything. I love reading about sport, engaging with it, working with sports talents and all of that. But in 2010-11, at the 2011 World Cup which India won, I felt that, I'd done a lot with sport over the last 13 years. So I wanted to go and explore other parts of what I think I was able to do. So I'm very passionate about two other things other than sport. One was the world of handloom and saris and the world of books. So actually in 2010 January, I had gone to see the Jaipur Literature Festival, and the minute I saw it, I knew this is something I could do. There is no explaining why, but I just knew it. I did not know a single author. I didn't know a single publisher. I had no idea, but I thought this is something I can do. And I created a very good proposal which I sent to some friends, and they said, you're working with sport, it's so it's profitable, you enjoy it, so why go into something like the arts, which is always a fight for funding. But it stayed with me, and finally when I got an opportunity in 2012 January, we started the first Kolkata Literary Meet, and here we are 13 years later with
Amazing.
In 2025, and the festival has really grown.
Wow. So ma'am, 2013 and 2024, we are looking at 2025 KLM now. In between, we had something called COVID. So what was that journey like for Kolkata Literary Meet?
We finished the 2020 festival in January, and then I think that was the advantage we had. We had a whole year to negotiate the trauma. And in 2021, we had a very small window in January where things were not looking that bad. Before, there was that second wave which just traumatized the whole country. So at that time, we did manage to have a very basic day at Victoria Memorial where Srijato spoke, where Kaushiki Chakraborty performed. And then we had a lot of sessions online. It was a very difficult time for various people, in various ways. So I think in many ways the event economy was the most resilient, because we could bide our time and then go back. And for the Lit Fest, it was also strangely and perversely a time of opportunity, because all those authors who would never come physically to Calcutta, it was a legitimate way of engaging with them. So there was Indra Nui we did, and though Jan has come, we did a session with Jan Martel. We had different authors from all over the world, Alexander McCall Smith, Ian Rankin. They all were speaking to audiences of the Kolkata Literary Meet. So, I think that is entrepreneurship, that even in the depths of, a bad situation, you always try to find what is an opportunity.
The silver lining.
The silver lining, yes. So, but I'm glad it's all behind us, and it's a testament to human nature that we have forgotten a lot of our tribulations at the time, and we are now motoring ahead.
So what does Kalam 2025? What can we expect?
Well, on the back end, we also started the Bengal Biennale, which ends on the 5th, and within 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, we start the Kolkata Literary Meet. So it's like the first born, which had to show a little bit of, independence and looking after itself. So, I was so worried about this clash that I had worked with my team. Everyone had put their noses to the grindstone, and a lot of the international confirmations were done by September. So we had 2 Nobel laureates and a Booker Prize winner, one of the world's biggest writers at present, Bernardine Evaristo, who speaks so much about so many of the identity issues that youngsters of your age face, whether it is on the spectrum of race, whether it's on the spectrum of gender, whether it's on the spectrum of whom you choose to love. So she is a writer of now, but deeply literary and talented. So I'm very excited to have Bernardine Evaristo coming to the festival. She's been kind enough to agree to inaugurate it.
Wow.
We have our inaugurator of 2018, who is Sir Venki Ramakrishnan. He is coming out with a slightly grimly titled book, but a wonderful book called Why We Die. Then we have Esther Duflo, who is no stranger to Kolkata, but is a debutante at the festival. Then we have the authors of Ikigai, which is again a global
sensation.
Yes, so Francesc Miralles will be here with his new book, which is based on Indian philosophy, called The Four Purusharthas. So he will be there. We have a play with Shabana Azmi.
Wow.
It's a one-woman play, and Broken Images. So she's performing that after many years. We have Rupam Islam doing an unplugged. So there's a lot of wonderful things. It's 125 years of Sharadindu. So we have a session on his historical novels, as well as another on Bomkesh. And yes, it's just a very
amazing.
Exciting.
I am excited, and I'm sure everybody watching this is will be equally excited. Ma'am, you mentioned the Bengal Biennale. If you could tell us a little bit about it.
So that's the other thing. I think, because I do have a lot of free time, I always am dreaming, and this was a dream Jeet and I had since 2016, that the city should have a Biennale, because the only Biennale in India is in Kochi. And I think there is no place which naturally lends itself to a Biennale more than Calcutta and Shantiniketan. So we bit the bullet, and we had to really do it fast, because when you start something new, I've often noticed that it's best to, not go crazy, but not overthink it. True. And we have these sayings nowadays like hit the ground running, and those are not things that are possible. You can never, the only person who hits the ground running is Superman. And he doesn't exist, contrary to what many of your generation thinks. So, you have to fall with a thud, brush yourself off, learn what you have, and then proceed. So I think that's what we've managed to do with the Bengal Biennale, we've landed. We have landed with reasonable elegance, and we've made mistakes. Our artists have been very sporting with some of the challenges of, setting up and dismantling and all of that. But on the whole art fraternity in India and even overseas has been so supportive. So it is an idea which everyone had thought about, but it took this long to,
Amazing.
come to fruition. And we feel humbled that we were the people to finally do it.
I think it's some great work that you're doing. In fact, the role of Kolkata Literary Meet in promoting young people and promoting reading habits in them. So, I mean, we all know that people don't read as much today that they used to before. So how do you view that? What do you think about the situation?
Ruskin Bond says that when he was 15, which was in 1949, people would say, nobody's reading anymore. Everyone's listening to the radio. Then in a few years, it was like, nobody's reading anymore. Everyone's watching television. Then it was this, and now it's the social media. So, those who have to read will read.
Absolutely.
And doom and gloom have existed since the time of Aristotle's supposedly grim thoughts on the new generation. So somewhere in between, the arts somehow manages to survive, to flourish, to have its little constituency. And people always tell me that, if you look at any lit fest in India, you see a lot of grey hair. But maybe you have to go grey to really understand the true value of what art brings to your life. And I think that's ageism to say that just because people are grey, they don't count. There is nothing of that sort. I'm very happy with all age groups. And we get a very good response for our junior Kolkata literary meet. So I don't think people have completely given up reading. They may be reading in different ways, but they still read. What I'd like to say is that nowadays people in Kolkata feel very empowered by the Kolkata literary meet. So when somebody wins the Nobel or the Booker, they say, is this person coming? And that thought didn't exist 15 years ago, that, the person who wins the Nobel will come that year to the festival. It was a thought that didn't occur to people. Now we have made people think this is possible. And that empowering of thought itself is very heartening for me. That, people say, Samantha, have we been? I bought her. I'm like, she just won it 6 weeks ago and these things take time. But the fact that they think we can do it is itself empowering.
It's a stellar achievement, I feel. I think it's unparalleled, the work that you've done. So we've talked at length about Kolkata Literary Meet. You mentioned, and I'm also aware of your passion for saris and handloom. And that passion manifests itself in a company called Bailoom. Can you please tell us a little bit about it?
So Bailoom also was around the time I started the Kolkata Literary Meet. I just thought that the sari is disappearing from our streets, from our offices, is seen only as occasion wear. So when I met Bappa Aditya, who's a true hero of Bailoom, because Bappa Rumi are the design half, he kind of reimagined what a sari could be. He made it light, he made it bright, he made it quirky, and yet he never compromised on the handloomness of it, on the design integrity of it, and on the use of time-honored traditions of the hand weave. So his philosophy and my concerns kind of met, and we started Bailoom, and it's a source of endless joy for me to see youngsters, wearing our saris and enjoying them, to see even, people who are a little senior saying, I like wearing your saris because they're light. So, and look, there is a place for occasion wear and those multi-000 saris at weddings and sangeets and all of that. But, the simplicity of a cotton sari, it was almost going away. But Bailoom in some ways is held on to it. So we have saris starting from 850 these days, and people buy it and wear it with great enthusiasm. So I just, the Lit Fest and the Bailoom story are of me feeling, a little more confident as an entrepreneur, and Jeet and I saying, okay, we do sports well, but what we've learned in sport, we can apply in other fields which are a little more challenging. So yeah, that's the story, and we just feel blessed that we work with things that we love.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your experiences with us. And I can say we are waiting with bated breath to see what you do next, because whatever you've done has been so amazing, be it the Kolkata Lit Fest, be it Game Plan, be it Loom, and so many other things. Thank you so much for giving us this time, and we were so happy to have you.
Most welcome. Wishing you all a happy 2025, and do come for the Kolkata Literary Meet. It's an amazing lineup this year.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thanks.